science course for counting sperm, you're in the wrong place. But otherwise, this is the brain health group, and today we're going to hear from Tara DeLuca from the Alzheimer's Association on brain health. And before I turn it over to Tara, I would like to thank everybody who participated in Saturday's car wash. In case you haven't heard, the total raise was $750. And we think somewhere between 68 and 70 cars.
Wow.
So we have a lot of people to thank, and you'll be hearing more about the thank yous. But for all of you who turned out and made a donation, we really want to thank you. So, without further ado.
And the washers are here.
Yeah, and the washers.
Yeah.
Who spent yesterday recuperating. All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tara DeLuca.
Thank you for being here. Hold on, I'm gonna have to remember to use the mic. I have 3 children though, so my voice can project so loud. So tell me if I'm too loud then. Well, thank you for being here. My name is Tara DeLuca. Well, I guess I'll give you my new title. I have a promotion starting in 2 weeks. I'm the Senior Director of Programs at the Alzheimer's Association, so I'll oversee all of our programs that are happening within our 7-county coverage. But most importantly, out of that, and it's not even part of my title anymore, is that I'm a care consultant. What a care consultant is at the Alzheimer's Association is when you call and you have a question for you, your loved one, a friend, we are there to brainstorm and give you that information and resources right there. And if you live in Ulster, like you always are going to get routed back to me because I'm the only care consultant that covers Ulster County. I share Dutchess County. We go kind of based on population numbers is how home office kind of figures out how many people need to be in each county coverage. So before I get into our program today, I want to highlight that I've got a table over there with a bunch of different pamphlets from know the 10 signs, like the warning signs, to maybe your friend is already diagnosed or you're thinking about that they might be. There's 2 beautiful pamphlets, behaviors and communication, because communication shifts. Should someone be diagnosed with some sort of dementia, the way that you communicate with them, I think, is a very big part on the caregiver, the friends, the people around them, and being comfortable in how do you communicate, because that communication does for sure shift. And then also my business card is there with my phone number and my email, so if you've got a question, call my number, you will get me, maybe my voicemail, but then I'll call you back. But better than that is on all of those flyers is our 800 number, and that's our home office in Chicago. So when you call that at 10 o'clock at night when I'm fast asleep, you are going to get someone. Someone will answer your call at that time, answer that question, especially if it's something like a crisis. Everyone at our home office is trained in crisis management, like how to de-escalate a scenario. Don't call them and say, please, but hey, we had this interaction, everyone is safe. How would I approach this differently? That's the kind of crisis call, like maybe talking to them, that would be really great. And then another lovely thing is that then if you say you want a local follow-up, they will send a note to me through our charting system, and I will then be told to give you a call within 2 business days to sort of follow up on how that is. But what the nice thing is that you won't have to relive that call. I'm going to review the notes before I give you a call, so I already have a leg up before I'm calling you. So I really love that kind of continuity of care that we all have within the Alzheimer's Association. So what we're here today to discuss is healthy living for your brain and body. This is a really nice program. It's brand new. So I don't exactly know all the slides that are going to come. It's going to be a surprise to all of us because they just put it out. And you will discuss overview of a variety of ways to keep healthy, things that we can do to always be learning, right? Like that's the key here, is being lifelong learners, right? Why we're here now even today, to learn something new, challenge your brain, learn and discover new things. So, healthy, and then if you've got a question while I'm going, feel free to shoot it out or write it down. I will leave time at the end that we can all have a more open discussion for the Q&A as well. So healthy living for your brain and body. Our learning objectives today are going to identify how certain behaviors affect our brains and bodies. And then we're going to list the strategies for healthy decision making in the following areas: sleeping, smoking, our mental health, our physical activity, having balanced nutrition, cognitive engagement, and social engagement. So those are the areas we're going to kind of focus on. So the brain. The brain is the control center of our body. There's over 100 billion nerve cells or neurons, creating a brain branching network. The signals travel through the brain from memories, thoughts, and our feelings. And the Alzheimer's disease does destroy those brain cells, part of those brain branches. So the heart and brain connection, right? We've heard this, if it's healthy for your brain, if it's good for your heart, it's good for your brain, right? That kind of correlation, we're one body. The heart and brain are interrelated. What you do to protect your heart can also help your brain continue to operate at its best. The brain needs blood flow. The brain depends on oxygen and adequate blood flow to work well. It receives 20 to 25% of the blood from every heartbeat. So we came in, this program is happening right after an exercise program that happened, right? So everyone in that exercise program got their blood pumping a little bit more. So what was happening is their heart rate is increased, the blood is pumping, so what then is happening? More blood is then flowing through the brain too, right? That physical activity. Well, they gave you the answer here. So, is Alzheimer's a normal part of aging? Pretend you didn't see the answer. Yes or no? No, right? Alzheimer's is a progressive and fatal brain disease. Symptoms usually develop slowly and get worse over time. It is not a normal part of aging. So, to kind of go into it, Alzheimer's and other dementias are not normal parts of aging. Dementia is the general term that describes problems with thinking and memory that are severe enough to interfere with that person's daily life. Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia. There are currently no cure for Alzheimer's. However, there are drug and non-drug options that can help with symptoms and may have the ability to slow the disease progression. And healthy behaviors may lower the risk of dementia. And also, because it kind of speaks to both parts on this, I just want to cover it here. Dementia is the umbrella term. So dementia is this overarching umbrella term. Under the umbrella of dementia, there's about 70 different subtypes of dementia. And Alzheimer's disease does account for the majority of those, and they say about 70% of those dementia diagnoses are actually also Alzheimer's. But we've got Lewy bodies with dementia, we've got frontal temporal, Parkinson's with dementia. There's a lot of other diseases and things that are affecting the brain as part of that dementia umbrella. Also, to sort of highlight and honor, some people will just sit with a dementia diagnosis. Their doctor may just give them a dementia diagnosis, or even starting a little bit earlier, mild cognitive impairment. It does take additional testing to see what parts of your brain are being affected to know which type of dementia that person is now facing. That is a conversation that's to be had with that individual, their families, their doctor. Do you want to pursue additional testing, or are we treating the symptoms and staying with that dementia diagnosis? So that's a per person conversation, but I just want to honor that we can stay with that dementia diagnosis, or we can further delve into seeing which subtype it is. So the story of your health. Your overall health is obviously affected by your genes and your family history, your environments, and your lifestyle. Those healthy habits may be beneficial for your body and your brain. Obviously, we always want to be in contact with our healthcare providers. We want to be getting our blood work done regularly and staying on top of those things. We want to monitor our blood pressure, blood sugar. You're seeing the correlation, if it's the heart as well, right? The blood pressure and the blood sugar, another underlying. They're seeing trends with someone who might have diabetes and then an increased risk for Alzheimer's, weight or your BMI, and then your cholesterol as well. It's very dramatic interludes of the text. So what the science tells us, many factors that increase the risk of heart disease and stroke may also increase the risk of our cognitive decline and dementia, so such as hypertension, diabetes, midlife obesity. Good cholesterol is good for the heart, and what's good for the heart is good for the brain. And I'm going to go further than that too. What's good for the heart is good for the body, right? We are one being, right? If I'm, ailing with maybe a knee injury, I might be walking a little bit different, and now suddenly my hips or my back hurt because you're favoring one thing, right? So we're us being one body, one thing. We want to be looking at our body as a totality, not just like focused or so hyper-focused on just one part, right? We want to, again, be looking at the totality of it. And sometimes even as the disease progresses with an individual, especially if they've got like long-standing, say, knee injury or something, they might be saying, my knee hurts, because what's happening here is that's actually the long term, right? I've always said my knee hurts, right? But what's happening is as the disease progresses, they might not be able to pinpoint where the pain is coming from. So they're gonna highlight the knee because long-term knee injury, right? Versus maybe I'm just not comfortable in my chair and actually my lower back is hurting. Or they can't even say that. There's a behavior that happens, and we need to kind of decode that message for and with them. Well, maybe they've been sitting in this spot a little bit long. Let's get up and move, and maybe that'll alleviate the other pain that they're unable to identify at this moment. Even simple things of behavior can happen. We're sitting in a chair, and suddenly now the light is coming in through that window. So light in my eyes is bothering me, maybe it's a little warm, right? And they're not able to identify that, and you look and you're like, well, you love sitting in this chair, or you were good here 10 minutes ago, but now the sun shifted. And right, so that decoding of being here for that person with dementia, as they may not be able to identify where they're at that point then as well. So true-false question. It's never too early or too late to incorporate healthy habits. True. So absolutely. It is never too late to incorporate new or different habits. People of all ages can benefit from adding in more healthy behaviors. I'll share a little story that someone shared with me. She told me, Tara, I lost 30 pounds. Oh, what'd you do? What's the secret here, right? And what she told me was that she started that every time there was a commercial on TV in the evening, she's like, I would just sit for hours and watch TV. And I said, you know what, I can't do that anymore. So every time there was a commercial on TV, she would get up and start doing some exercise. She's like, sometimes I would do this, sometimes I'd sit in my recliner and just kind of go up and down with her legs. And then she's like, then I started doing more, and then I could get more, and then I would race myself. So the last commercial I got 30 of something, the next time I was like, I need 35, right? So it's like this internal race she had with herself. And look, she lost 30 pounds because now there's commercial, feels like every 5 seconds on TV sometimes, right? Unless you're streaming something, there's always a commercial. So it was consistency that she had, right? She had her programs for a set number of hours. She would be watching TV in the evening. There were the commercials that were happening on a set schedule, and therefore she then had a set schedule to now have an exercise program put into her life. And the old program of this talks about a gentleman who found walking. He's like, I just really liked walking. I would peek at my neighbors, see who mowed their lawn, this and that, and it was intriguing to him because he had cognitive stimulation, right? And he's like, at first, and his name was Woodley in the old program, Woodley started out saying that he did about 10 minutes, that was good for him. He did 10 minutes of walking, and then would go back home. Then, when he was sharing this and they videotaped it, he was like, I'm up to 45 minutes now. So, right, you start out, you find something of interest, and then you can slowly increase it and find what works for you, too, right? So if the exercise program that was here before is absolutely your jam, go for it. If you're like, no, that's not it, I want to be outside because it's a beautiful day, well, take some water and go outside, enjoy it, right? There's so many different varieties to find what fits, and it's never, never too late. I don't think any of these are monumentous. That would, sometimes the reminders are always good, right? We need to hear it. So tips for healthy living for your brain and your body. We want to get quality sleep. If we're not sleeping well, that is going to affect our everyday life. If you didn't sleep well, sometimes we're a little bit more lenient. Well, I deserve this little treat or that, right? So our eating habits are different because we didn't sleep well, right? We want to be smoke-free. We want to take care of our mental health. Absolutely, that is so important on so many levels. If you're a caregiver, if you're a friend, if you or yourself are experiencing some of these symptoms, mental health is important always. Get moving, eat healthy, challenge yourself. So if this gal stayed with, maybe 10 reps, she wouldn't have seen really any benefits because her body would have gotten used to it. But the way that she got more and more and then challenged herself, she was increasing that, and then also increasing her heart rate. And then she had that's that pacing, right? So you increase that heart rate, let it sit, and go back up. So the effects are lasting much longer, even after your heart rate is returned to normal. Your body is still reaping the benefits of that exercise. And then staying connected. So that can be so different for so many people, but is that coming to programs like this? Sitting at the lunch table with new or different people, inviting someone new to the lunch table, calling a friend. Maybe you're not so out and about wanting to be, but talk to them on the phone, right? There's so many different ways to stay connected, and then also staying connected with us. We've got even our home office now can do chat. So they were realizing that some caregivers couldn't really be on the phone because they're actively caregiving. So you can do, sometimes some of those different agencies, you can chat. I like to chat with Amazon, so I don't have to talk to them on the phone, right? Same like this, you can chat and get your questions answered as well. So we're going to go into each one a little bit. So sleep is essential for overall health and well-being. We really know this, we want to get quality sleep. Some of the watches and things will even tell you how deep of a sleep you get into for how long. What the science is telling us, sleep impacts our overall health. It affects our ability to maintain healthy blood pressure and blood sugar. Inadequate sleep can cause problems with our memory and thinking. So both sides of the coin here, right? The person with dementia, if they're not getting enough quality sleep, that can affect them in that next day and days to come. Us as a caregiver, we're not getting quality sleep. I shared, I've got 3 kids. When mama doesn't get good sleep, I notice it the next day, right? My tolerance level is a lot different too, So, thinking about it, what are the brainstorms here? What can we change? What kinds of environments help you sleep? Is it a cold or warmer one? Lights on, music on, various things like that. What changes might be able to create a more peaceful sleep setting? So looking at your sleep, is it, now the weather is really warm, is it a different kind of pillowcase that maybe keeps you cooler or something like that? And how can I minimize those disruptions if you have any during the evening? Control the room temperature, amount of light for what you prefer. Turn off the screens before bedtime to help us wind down before sleep. If we're scrolling or doing those things, it's really hard for our brain to or even just turning off the TV, to go from something active with the light to then suddenly shift. We want to give our brains kind of a fair warning. We're slowing down now, we're going to go to sleep in a little bit. Talk to your doctor if you experience frequent sleep problems. There's a trend here. Consult your physician. That's the trend, right? We have that question. First stop would be your primary care. Next stop is going beyond that. If you're not getting that quality care from that physician, who else do you want to build into your care team as well? So being smoke-free, smoking has a direct impact on the health of your brain. And this can be hard also if we are caregiving for someone who's maybe a long time smoker. There's several things that happen here. They're not remembering that maybe they had a cigarette 5 minutes before. So being mindful of some of those things that they, as the person, and kind of like stepping into their role, right? It might be really hard to take away smoking if they've been doing it for, however many years. So can we like change the habits, right? If it's a certain habit that like this happens and then that happens, can we put something else in, right? Like I think like if someone's been smoking for a number of years, they've got that routine. Can we add up things, different things, or change that routine? Maybe they don't have a full pack of cigarettes, they've got a pack that's got 1 or 2 cigarettes in it, so they're visually seeing that then as well. The science tells us that studies about smoking increases the risk of cognitive decline and may increase the risk of dementia. Quitting smoking may reduce a person's chance of developing cognitive decline and back down to the levels of non-smokers. So it's never too late to make that change. There's lots of different smoking cessation programs and things that can help if the person's interested in that. And so the brainstorm questions would be, what can help me stop smoking or stay smoke-free? What resources are available online, in your community, at your doctor's office, pharmacy, right? There's lots of different avenues, right? Again, there's no one size fits all with that as well. So there's quit lines even, talking to our doctors and looking for programs or a strategy that works for you. And I love that it's like what works for you. Again, with any kind of challenge that we might have. There's no one way for everything. There's no one roadmap for every single one of these. It's what works for that person as an individual. And so taking care of your mental health, it's important to prioritize yourself and making time for self-care. Pay attention to your stress level and any symptoms of anxiety, depression, or other concerns. These affect your brain. Many healthy habits contribute to good mental health. So just, I think, to me, is like noticing, am I stressed out right now? Okay, own that stress. Then, well, is this short-term stress because I'm just trying to get out of the house and I've got, gotta make sure you've got all the things, and then the stress level will decrease once you're safely in the car or to your location. Is it stress of a different level that maybe it's not so attainable, so quick, right? It's longer term, it's different. We want to talk to someone, talk to our confidants, friends, seeing what ways or strategies, brainstorms of things that can help us decrease that stress. Sometimes it's not such an immediate thing, it's a long stand. Sometimes that long stand is also habit, right? Like we take on a certain level of stress or anxiety from historical data. Well, let's look at that, like I'm always stressed when, my oldest has finals right now. I am stressed for him, right? But once finals are over, we're gonna be a little bit different. So how can we do these? What are ways that you can look at your stress and find things that work for you and implement those in your life? Is it giving yourself more time in the morning? Is it going outside for that walk, getting that fresh air as well? Is it more? Is it talking to your doctor as well about other strategies, or even calling in someone, like maybe a therapist, to talk about different things as well too? So really kind of taking stock in that, especially, what are some things that you enjoy doing? How can I build breaks into my day? And how can I focus on self-care? Many people I've spoken to, they're like, I don't really know what I enjoy. What is good self-care, right? I think a lot of people think of self-care as like massages or these bigger things, right? Well, it could be that, absolutely, but it doesn't have to be that, right? So like self-care could be giving yourself a little bit more time in the morning, or making your favorite recipe, or various things that would feel good, that are a lot more attainable too. Sitting outside, maybe in a little bit of a secluded place, so no one's gonna come and also talk to you too, right? Like you have your time and your space for that. But really like thinking into it, like what do you actually enjoy? What is self-care to you? And being able to grab them too, I think that's important too. Like not only knowing these big picture things, but what's a thing that I could do right now that would feel good? Some deep breathing. So some tips or ideas would be like take a nap if you're tired, you need a rest, go for a walk, get that outside weather in your lungs, dance. Dancing always feels good too. I feel like sometimes when I dance I can't also help but smile, so that feels nice. Sing a song, bake a treat, read a book, watch a funny video. Those dog videos on YouTube are always good. So, get moving. Physical activity can also help improve our brain health. Consistent cardiovascular activity will reduce the risk of cognitive decline. Physical activity may directly benefit brain cells and reduce other factors. For most people, any increase in movement can have an increase on our overall health and mood too, right? Like the health and the mood. Just get moving and do what feels right to you. What activities do I want to try, right? Like not only what you already like, what would be of interest to try, get you excited and interested in doing something new? How can I build more physical activity into your day? And who can you ask to join? Because then also that includes another part of our brain, that's that social engagement part too, right? Being around someone. So not only walking, getting that physical activity, but maybe if you do it with someone else, that idea of doing it together, chatting and kind of getting into that routine. And then also when you get a schedule with someone else, like kind of, you feel a little guilty. You're like, no, I don't feel like doing it today, right? You get them involved as well. So you find things that might be already part of your day. Walk around your neighborhood, maybe we take the long route back to our apartment, right? Take the stairs more often or get off the bus and stop earlier. Start small. Small amounts of physical activities really do add up. Small amounts of anything add up, right? Try something fun for you. Ask friends, family members, or neighbors to join. Now, some of you might not be living with your family here, but they are a phone call away. So you call them, and then both of you can maybe go out for a walk together. Or you're going to chat on the phone with your sister. Hey, you know what? What's the difference if you're sitting on your couch or you're walking around, right? It's interesting too. Healthy eating. Eating an overall healthy diet may reduce your risk for many diseases. What's the science telling us? What's good for the heart is also good for the brain. Nutritious food is fuel for the brain. Eating a balanced diet may reduce your risk of heart disease, cancer, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, stroke, and diabetes. I think that's only a little bit, right? There's much more about eating a healthy balanced diet. So we support the DASH, the dietary approaches to stop hypertension, and also the Mediterranean diet. What key elements from those, it includes lots of fruits and vegetables, nuts, beans, and whole grains, lean meats, fish and poultry, healthier fats, and limited sugar and salt. So what that doesn't include is lots of like fried foods, saturated fats, processed foods. We want to obviously all be staying away from them as much as we can as well too. High salt. And then, how can we cook differently, make our meals healthier, or maybe make some requests if a lot of your meals are being made for you? What are some requests that you might want to put in or add to the menu options if possible? What healthy foods can you swap in too? And what new foods are you willing to try? Giving it a shot. Add something new that you've never tried before. And so using olive oil or another healthy oil, using sodium-free spices or flavorings instead of that salt. Focus on what you can add in as much more fruits, vegetables, instead of what you're thinking about taking away. A lot of the psychology behind that is the idea of taking away That's why they're saying a lot of people like tend to shy away from things because they're thinking about what I'm taking out of my life versus what am I adding in, right? And so that flipping of that, the script for us, I'm adding this, or I get to do this, not I have to go out and walk and it's like 95 degrees out. It's like really, really hot today, so I wouldn't advise walking at the height of the day, right? But I get to walk at 7 o'clock in the morning and me and the birds get to be together, right? I get to do that versus I have to do that, right? And choosing leaner cuts of meat and building the meals around vegetables, beans, and those whole grains. So a note about the vitamins and supplements. The World Health Organization concluded in 2019 that vitamins and supplements should not be recommended to reduce the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. So we want to be aware, and this is, you'll meet my coworker, Joan, in a couple of months probably, and she says if it's on after midnight, go to bed. So, right, like there's a lot of claims that we can cure and do and clean, all the things, right? All those infomercials on after midnight. If they're on after midnight, just but so we really want to keep, a lens on that, being aware of potential false claims, or if it sounds so good, it's too good to be true, probably is too good to be true, right? We're going to focus on a balanced nutrition to promote a healthy brain and body. And we want to talk with the healthcare professionals about any concerns or deficiencies that we might have, and for that individual basis then too, not because an infomercial told me, right? We're going to look at our blood work and see what's going on. So again, they're giving us the answer here. However, pretend you don't see that. Challenging your brain may help lower your risk of cognitive decline. I think that's true or false? True, right? So continuing to challenge our minds as we age may lower the risk of cognitive decline. That's the idea of being lifelong learners, always learning something new and different. It can be a little bit more like school-based, learning classroom-based, or is it learning a new stitch that we like to knit or crochet? Maybe we're gonna do it without the instructions. And how can I get there? How can I challenge my own brain to do that? Choosing what fits right for you, right? So someone who's not interested in school-based learning, that wouldn't be great for them at any age, right? If that wasn't their interest, but maybe they are a hands-on person and they want to tinker with something. Do that, try it, explore it, always be challenging yourself. Challenging your mind might have short and long-term effects for your brain. And also, like when you can do something, it also feels good, right? So if you created a new stitch or you got, you recalled what you were doing, feels good in that moment too. So I think that that's important to honor as well. The feeling that you get from what you're learning something or completing something. So actually, what is cognitive engagement when we talk about it? Cognitive engagement is a term that means keeping our minds active and challenged. This can be done by learning new skills, working on a challenging task, or engaging in that ongoing learning. What the science tells us is keeping your mind active forms new connections among those brain cells. So if the dementia is affecting our brain and taking away some of those brain cells and those brain branches, we're going to kind of come back at it and continue to learn. We want to engage in these other things as well. So one part is taking away, but the other part is we're giving to it. Cognitive engagement encourages blood flow to the brain. Its mentally stimulating activities may possibly maintain or even improve cognition. So just a word on that too, if we are working with a person with dementia, our goal is like 10 or 15 minutes. We're not looking at probably an hour's worth of engagement. We're not going to get that from them, but 10 or 15 minutes, feel successful in that. That is really good numbers and kind of just our kind of standard. Not our standard, but like, so we as the friends or caregivers, just know if we get 10 or 15 minutes out of them, we were totally successful. Don't feel defeated if we didn't get completed on the other part. Engaging in formal education may keep your brain healthy and can provide protection against developing dementia. So that I think that even is it Ulster Community College? You can go to classes forever once you reach a certain age. So you can participate in that more traditional learning. And they've got classes in person and online as well. So challenging yourself. What new hobbies or skills do I want to learn? What's been on that to-do list that we haven't gotten to yet? Try it. Give it a go. What activities sound like a fun challenge? What topics would you like to learn more about? So really kind of getting into this with the combined, in my opinion, with the self-care, right? What feels good? What do I like? What's of interest to me? So maybe take a class at a local college, community center, this room, and learn a new topic or skill. Try a new cooking technique, learning a new language, build a piece of furniture, learn how to play a new strategy game like chess, or even teaching someone. Like if you know how to do it, you teaching someone, you also are going to get the benefits from that as well. Stay connected. Connecting with others socially can have many benefits, health benefits. The science is telling us that staying socially active may support brain health. Social engagement is associated with living longer with fewer disabilities. Those who feel well connected tend to make healthier choices in other areas. And there's a lot underlying here that I think reading between the lines here is that when we're engaging with other people, we kind of take on those behaviors as well then too, right? So if we see everyone sitting at the table and they're ordering water, maybe I'm not going to order an alcoholic beverage, right? Everyone else is having water. Kind of, we as humans tend to sort of match those that are around us. So if we surround ourselves with a nice positive circle, that those benefits are going to come without us really even knowing it too. It's just by sheer being around it. You're going to socialize, you're going to be part of that group, you're going to have cognitive stimulation as well, that conversation. I need to hear, receive, and then formulate my response then as well. So those are really important areas that our brains are doing without us having to try too hard to get being part of that. How do you like to stay connected to others? Are you a phone person? Are you an in-person kind of person? What feels right to you? How can you get involved with your community? And are there any clubs or groups that you'd like to join, or even more clubs or groups that you want to join? Tips for staying connected: volunteer for a cause that's important to you. So I think that many of you have heard about the car wash that happened this weekend, and I just think, like, in my mind, I'm envisioning what this car wash was. Like, you're outside on a lovely day, having a good time, like laughing, probably wet and soapy and all that good stuff, soggy shoes. But I was there in spirit, right? Well, you know, like, the idea of all of that that's embedded in that, like, I didn't have to be at the car wash, but when Ina was describing it, it brought me there, right? I envisioned what this process was like. And then also it was like sort of blown away, like 68, 70 cars. That's a lot of work too. So, you know, it was physical activity, it was socialization, it was cognitive, you know, like you're check marking so many pieces of healthy living and ways to be engaged with other people in your community. And then schedule regular calls if you don't already have them with like your friends, your family, you know, giving the calls on Sunday morning and things like that. Be consistent with that. And then if you can, visit with friends and family, participate in those events that are right here too, right? Like you don't have to go far to kind of be engaged in a lot of stuff that's happening around you. So you can live healthily for your body and your brain. And just in that recap, we're gonna get quality sleep, we're gonna not smoke, we're gonna take care of our mental health. If we're not already, we wanna keep or get moving. We're gonna keep healthy, challenge ourselves, and stay connected. And then this is just a little bit about the Alzheimer's Association. For what our services are, we have that 24/7 helpline. We have those online resources. Our website has a ton of resources, including all of the slide decks and everything. So if there was something or another topic that's of interest, you can go on that. And then this last one is Community Resource Finder. This is a really good one. This is in partnership with AARP. So if you're seeking a specific program or service, you can go on that website and see what's in our area. And then also, just caveat to that too, is like, it can get overwhelming, so if you feel like you're overwhelmed because there's so much and you're kind of like navigating the various zip codes, just give me a call and we'll figure it out together. So I think that might be my last.
Question, yes.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Sue Cusack. I'm a resident here. And thank you for encouraging me. I'll keep taking advantage. There's lots to learn here. Your excellent presentation. You mentioned the smoking, nicotine. Are there any studies on the effect of alcohol and wine on the aging brain?
Yeah.
Can bring back because of the, the exposure sometimes.
Absolutely. So first I want to highlight that I'm not a medical professional. So this is what I know from information and then formulated with talking to people like you as well, and best practice combination. So first I have to make that disclaimer for it. Well, that's the challenge too, and I kind of alluded to that, like the idea of a person with dementia may not remember that they just had a cigarette 5 minutes ago. That's the same with alcohol as well, or any food. We're like, I hear that a lot, like, they didn't feed me, and then the wife is like, no, but all of that. So what we can do here is, again, we kind of want to look at portion control too, right? So if we have a big bottle of wine, to me, I'm looking at that like I've got a big bottle of wine. If I'm looking at that wine, maybe it's just about a glass or even a little less, my brain is signaling to myself, oh, I only have 1 glass of wine left. And then I might pour half of that. So if I know I want more later, right? So being portioning it, right? And so like, if you're only seeing this little piece, this amount, the brain signals I only have this amount, so that hopefully we can get to the point where maybe that person with dementia may not be drinking alcohol, because there are many studies just with the dementia brain and without the dementia brain. Alcohol alone can affect our brain cognition, our gait, right? So even there might be more falls and that are happening because we're unsteady due to the alcohol as well. So we really want to, in the beginning, if that person is really adamant and that's been something that has, been, maybe they have a glass of wine with dinner every night, right? That's been their process. So the disease, there's twofold here, right? We're gonna look at that individual, we're gonna talk to their doctor as well, right? Is the doctor saying we need to eliminate alcohol right away, or is the doctor saying like, oh, well, 1 glass is kind of okay, right? So that's the individual, right? And then once we have that, once we're armed with that information, I would start kind of looking at ways that we can be pulling that out, right? So if there's a 6-pack in the refrigerator, I know I've got 6 beers, right? If there's 1 beer in the refrigerator, I'm only looking, oh man, I gotta go to the grocery store, go tomorrow, it's too late now, right? And so kind of thinking about that portion control, that mindfulness, right? It goes to everything, right? If we open up a new box of cookies, we've got a whole box of cookies there. If we look at the box of cookies and there's only 1 or 2 in it, we're gonna look at it differently, right? Oh, well, there's only 1 or 2, that's all we can do. So, long-winded answer to your question is we would love to, yes, decrease, eliminate would be the gold standard there, right? And ways that we can do that is we have less around, less available, and even as the caregiver, you don't want, so I'll share someone else in an early stage, her husband got a really big sweet tooth with the Alzheimer's diagnosis. So he was, like she jokes, and she's like, he's flying through cookies, and the doctor tells me it's okay, because he doesn't have other things, but I know it's not really, and I'm not comfortable with him having that many cookies. So then she goes on to tell me that she's like, if I ever got robbed, someone would think I'm absolutely bonkers, because she's like, I've got cookies in pots and pans and hidden over here and in this drawer, so that she didn't have to go to the store, right? But in that cookie jar where her husband knew to go to look for cookies, there was only what she felt was an appropriate amount for him to have. And then, well, the cookie jar is empty, I've got to go back to the store. The store might have been the big old soup pan, tucked away, but that's okay, right? He wasn't looking there. And so it was an alleviation for the caregiver that she didn't have to go to the store every day for a new box of cookies. But for the person with dementia, he only had that much available too. Then lastly, there's another thing, is that we can also start slowly watering it down a little bit, right? So we don't wanna go for, like, same with like little babies and the apple juice. We don't wanna give them a whole cup of apple juice, we're gonna give them this much and this much water, right? So again, like a lot of these kind of tricks translate into different parts of us on our pendulum.